Hello everyone, this is Liz with Crafted Devotion, and I am getting ready to show you how I made these gorgeous roses. I hardly ever make these types of roses, but for this wreath project I decided to make them, and I've been working on them, bunch of flowers because I want to add them to the wreath I'm working on. And so I did come up with the size of fabric I like. So I'm using fabric for this. So, and this fabric, I'm going to, with velvet, I need one of these things to remove the lint because I work with so much fabric that actually my craft room gets kind of dusty with pieces of fabric that I'm tearing or even cutting or just whatever. Like I've been making a lot of flowers, so there would be a lot of little dust particles that have been coming around. So I'm doing that, and I'm also using, when I cut this, I use my little vacuum to do that. And I'll talk to you about where I got the vacuum from and a little more about that later. I'm going to start with this piece, and this, I'm going to make a burgundy one kind of like this one, and I'm going to show you the tricks I learned to accomplish that fact. Let me get just a tiny bit closer. There we go. That's a little closer. Let's see. Let me tell you the size of this. I found that I do like to cut my fabric around 3 inches. A little smaller, between 2.5 and 3 inches worked for me. I liked that size. And the length, it's really the size of the fabric because I'm using some fabrics that I have in my stash. I didn't go out and buy specifically for this. So that it says 10.25, so that means it's about 20.5 inches. Okay, so that's how long this piece of fabric is. I think you can make the length of the fabric any size and the width also, but this is the size I preferred when I was working with this. Now, this project is going to take some sewing, so I'm going to use my a large needle, and this is my crochet thread. You can use any kind of thread you want, but I do suggest that you at least double it up if you're going to use thread. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold it over. Now, this is the trick that I learned while I'm doing this, and that is that some videos I saw some tutorials a long time ago. I really hadn't seen them recently, so I don't even know who it is, but I'm going to take this piece, and they would take it like this and fold it like this and start sewing, and then they'd pull it down and come this way. But I don't want to do it that much. I'm going to do it less. So I'm going to take this is about an inch right here. So I'm going to take this piece about an inch over. The reason why is because when you sew it, you'll see how different it is, and I'll show you the differences afterwards. So about an inch in, I'm going to start about an inch. See, I kind of make a little angle there, and I'm going to start like that. This is my first tack. And you do not have to do this part if you do not want to, but I will show you the difference after I'm done here. I usually just take it and do a couple of stitches this way so it doesn't unravel. I did find that I like doing it kind of tight here, making sure that it doesn't come undone. Hopefully I did a good enough job there. All right, after you do that, it was cut straight, and now you're going to come down and you're going to pull this forward, and you're going to sew both of these straight together right here. This is the best way I found to do it, so hopefully you'll like the way I did it. Okay, so now I'm going to level it up, and now I'm going to begin just a gather stitch, and I found that I like to do it about 1/4 inch thick, and all you're going to do is gather it. Just go back and forth, back and forth. You're going to find that sometimes you know, this, because it is off a little bit here, but the off will help when you're done. I'll show you later, because I am trying to give you guys the way I make these in the beginning, pretty straightforward, and just showing you what I do. And then afterwards I'm going to hang around and I am going to show, if whoever wants to still hang around and see some more tricks or tips that I might have for them, explain more things, they can hang around a little bit longer. But this is for those of you who prefer getting things and not too much talking. Okay, but so this is all I'm doing. I'm going to get close up for you, and I'm just putting a gather stitch all the way through it. I lined it up, and every time I'm pulling it up, making sure it's level. I do not stretch at all, because this actually it does have a stretch to it. And I just put it together, and I just keep on doing a running stitch. Alright, I'm starting to get closer to the end. I'm going to do a couple of stitches here. And when I'm doing these stitches, they're about 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't need to be exact. And this type of a velvet is kind of thick, this one I'm using. I think they have different thicknesses. And one of the tips I can tell you while I'm still finishing this off is that when you're working with dark colors like red and this royal blue, these rich jewel tone colors, it's so easy to get like glue marks on it. I try to use very little hot glue, but because it shows a lot. This was like a seam, so I'm going to trim that seam off there. Okay. There we go. That's good. And now, just like I did the rolled ribbon rose, I'm going to form it into a circle and gather it. And you want it to be kind of even. I guess I'm going to show you on my ruler about how wide. Okay, this one I think I took it all the way down to about 8 inches, also 8 or 9 inches, or really, we'll see. I might adjust it a little bit, but I'm going to just show those of you. It's really, when you're rolling it, it's going to be the same, very similar to the other flower that I made, the ribbon rose I just recently put a video up for. And you basically, oh, I like to use this side, I forgot. Okay, you're going to take it and you're going to start rolling it. And when you do this one, you'll see if you roll it just straight like this all the way around. Oops. I'm not going to stitch it or anything right now. You can tack this together the same way we did the ribbon rose, or you can sew it together. There you go. And look how pretty that comes out to be like. Now I'm going to mess with this a little more and go slower, but this is basically a point where those of you who want it quick, it's quick there. But I'm going to take my time now and make this very beautiful. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to make sure it's kind of evened out, this. And then in the beginning here, I notice that this gets in the way when I'm doing the rose. I'm going to fold this down like this. Sometimes I sew it, but since I'm teaching you, I'm going to use the hot glue here and just glue it down. Remember, be very careful with glue. You don't want to get it on your piece because it basically, like I said, it stains. And then the first part, you're going to roll kind of tight, but not too tight if you want to put a jewel in there. See, I squeezed a jewel in there on this gold one, and I put a jewel on top on this one, not all the way down. I made sure it stayed up. And you can basically really do it the same way. And I'm going to do this by gluing it. But for those of you who want to see how to sew it, I'm going to do a gold one after this one. Okay, so we're going to glue it. And remember what I just said. You got to be careful how much glue, and that the glue is not going to show on top. I'm sorry, my glue gun's kind of low. All right, so here we go. I'm going to glue inside here. Okay, and I'll put a little bit of glue along here and roll it as best I can. I'm being very careful not to get any glue up here. There we go. All right, so I'm just going along this edge right there. A little bit of glue. Most of these I didn't glue, most of them I sewed them. So this is for those of you who don't like to do too much sewing. Okay, I got a little piece of the same velvet, and I'm just going to glue it like this on. And this is what will make it finished. You just glue it all the way on, and it helps it all to stick together. You can use felt or just any other fabric, because this is going to, this is not going to show, but since I'm gluing it, I'm kind of, when you sew it, you can do that too if you want to make it look more finished, but I didn't do that to most of mine. Most of mine I sewed it together. So now, there you go. It's gorgeous. Very simple. It does take time. And look, see the glue things on there? There we go. I'm gonna roll this. I know I need this because I'm working with the velvet. And it shows. And so right here at the end here, you can attach it any way you wish. You can overlap it and just attach it to how you like it, how you want it to look. There. So I'm not going to mess with it right now. I'm going to be attaching this to my thing, and it just looks gorgeous. And then now you can take any jewel that you have. Let's see. Probably this one will look good. Just a button. I'm just going to put this button on here. And look how pretty it'll look with just a button on it. And then you can glue it down, or you can sew it on, whichever thing you want, or nothing, because these are so lush and beautiful, they don't need anything. All right, let me tell some of you guys about my little vacuum. I decided I wanted to get a vacuum when I started this project. I said I want to make velvet flowers, and I know they give off a lot of lint and and it's gonna be a mess. When I was cutting the fabric, and then all the fabric I was shredding, and I had seen someone that was a crafter who had one, and they're really cute ones that you can put on your desktop, and then you just pull shit around and then do it. But I decided to get a more functional one that I could use to also clean my keyboard. It has attachments to it. Oops, here's an attachment that this has to it. The other ones were just like little tabletop ones, but all you do is you plug it in here to charge it, and then you can just use it to clean up your pieces. I get a lot of dust and pieces of fabric all over, so this has actually helped me a lot. I'm starting to keep down a little more of my dust. I am going to try and put a link. I'm going to try for this one that I got, and maybe there's other ones you could purchase that look prettier. If you like pink or yellow or blue, there's really cute ones that are just like almost like the size of a mouse that you kind of push around. And you just open it up and you get all the debris out of it. And you just, you know, use it that way because you're only picking up small pieces of dust and things like that. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do one with this gold. I don't have a whole lot of this gold. So this one, it's going to be a little bit thinner because that's all the fabric I have. It is about 2.5 inches. And here's one I did. And let's see how long it is. Let me fold it in half so that we can measure it. And then double it. And you can see it's about 20 inches because it's 10. Okay. And we are going to do the same thing, but I'm going to explain to you as I'm doing it why I stagger it. And let me show you an example. These ones are like a beautiful like satin taffeta type vintage fabric I used. And this one here was not, I did not do what I showed you how to do to stagger it right here and start 1 inch in. Okay, this one I did. Can you see a difference? This one actually looks larger and it has more body to it, and this one's a little straighter. So you can see how it folds. So what it does is it actually opens it up a little bit more, the fabric. So it's not just flat folded, and it gives it a little bit more body. So that's what I liked about that when I did that. So, and I will show you again. And let's see. So about 1 inch over, I kind of fold it into a triangle, then I attach it from there, and then I'm going to pull this down and start sewing just straight there. And I'll show you a little bit more, take more breaks. All right, here I go. So about 1 inch in, I put the corner there. Let's see the inch right here. And that's about where I'm going to start. It's not, it doesn't have to be exact. But this one I'm going to sew it together instead of putting glue on it. And I know some of the velvets are thicker than others. This one's one of the thinner ones, and it's easier to sew for me. So, and I'm probably going to go ahead and attach this also. I'm going to fold it down and sew it because I don't want to put that much glue on it. Although this one won't show through as much on the glue, but I'm just tacking it down a couple of times. All right. So now you can see how it is. I'm going to take this and pull it so it's even. So you can see that. And then I'm going to just start doing a straight stitch, gather stitch here. And all you do when you do a gather stitch, all you're doing is going in and out, in and out, in and out. And you're just sticking it together so you can gather the, yeah, and this one's really a lot thinner, the fabric, but it still looks beautiful. I would have made more gold roses, but I don't have that much of the gold fabric. I used it all up one time when I was doing a craft project. So those of you who want me to see a little more detail and show you how I actually sew it when I do it. So this is basically what you do. You just keep on going. I think I made this thread too short, but I make it pretty long so that it'll go, especially when you're going to sew it. And I'm just going in and out, in and out. There you go. All right, I got a few stitches in, but I wanted to show you why we stagger it. Okay, so when I pull it flat, you can see that it gives an uneven fold right here. Look, you can't make it completely straight. I mean, you could force it sort of on parts of it, See? And then it kind of rolls, and that gives that rose a lot more body when you are doing it. So look. Okay, so don't be surprised when it looks like that, when it's uneven on top. It also opens it up. Instead of it being like extremely flat together, like that, it kind of gives you a little bit more thickness in the look of it when you're done. Okay, so then I'm just going to keep on going. But I wanted you to see that you're not making a mistake if it looks like this. All right, gather it a little bit so I have more thread. So that's what I mean for those of you who might be struggling. Okay, here I am just evening it out a little bit, the ruffle. I mean, it really doesn't make too big of a difference if it's not evened out, but okay, I'm going to get it about, I don't even know how long it is. I'm just measuring for you guys there. It comes to just about 8 inches almost, which is kind of like, you know, 8 or 9 inches is a good width for me with this length of fabric. So if you'd have a lot more fabric, you wouldn't, your flower would come out bigger. So I'm going to tack this down at the same time here. And I'm going to, see, I'm not a professional person who sews. I have a sewing machine. I have been using my sewing machine more when I make my my angels, when I need to, especially when I'm making the custom ones and they send me fabric for their wedding dresses. I didn't make this long enough. I'm going to have to probably do more or end up gluing it, but I'm going to show you how I sewed this. So we are going to do the same thing where we are going to sew it. Okay, and like I said, I just folded that down, and I'm going to roll it and show you how I begin to sew it. So then, I'm gonna go here. I'm going to go back in, and some people do it, and there I saw a tutorial. Oh, I have a new favorite channel I've been watching. It's called T. Myers, but she does a lot of sewing projects, and she does like shabby clothing. That's what she does, and I like watching her. She inspires me. So all I'm doing is when I'm rolling it, I'll just stick it in every once in a while and just sew it. This one, I haven't tried it with the thick fabric, but this thin one was quite easy to do. Quite easy, yes. All right. And I'll just go roll it and then stick it into the next layer. Just lost it. Okay. All right. So now, depending on how tight you make that, it'll kind of, if you make it looser, your rows will be longer or smaller. As you could see, this one was a little bit, it's a little bit shorter fabric. I have some hair or something in there. And just do it there. And then you can do the same thing. You can glue a piece on the back, or I could finish sewing it. But if you have any questions, just ask me in this video, and I appreciate if you give me a thumbs up and a comment. That helps my videos to go out to more people and more people to see them. I've been working on doing some some shorts, trying to learn how to do them. I'm not very good at it. But anyways, I am now this one. I'm thinking I might show you how to do this one, but it's pretty much the same technique, just a different fabric, a different type of fabric. It's not the velvet, but the velvet looks gorgeous. Just looks so lush and beautiful. See that? All right, this is Liz with Crafty Devotion, and as you know, I usually have a link in my description box so that you can find my Etsy shop to order laces and trims. And I will talk to you guys next time. I hope you are inspired to make your own roses. Thank you.